Welcome to my series, Model Steam Engines and Boilers. This is part 31, how to make adjustable crankshaft main bearings. And in this episode I'm showing how to fettle, mark out and machine the castings to a certain level. This is a compilation video which uses edited extracts from a series that I made that is not public. The series from which the extracts are taken is called How to Build a Model Steam Engine. Episode 1 of this series is public on YouTube, but all of the other episodes are for my Patreon supporters only. And the series so far is currently up to episode 43. What you're watching at the moment is heavily edited from part 10. But it still contains some very useful information. In this episode, I'm going to prepare the main bearings for machining. Here's the story so far. These are all the parts that I've made: the flywheel, the crankshaft, the crankweb, the bed, the pedestal and the pulley. And now it's time to make a very important part of the engine, the pair of main bearings. Here are some main bearing castings. The bottom pair are the ones that Stuart Model sent me because the first pair that were in the kit were riddled with blowholes. The top pair of castings are some that I've had for quite a few years, and these were originally from a Stuart Victoria casting set. As you can see, they are quite different. There is a minor problem. On the drawing it shows the finished dimension, the one that I'm showing on the ruler, to be 3/8 of an inch. But this casting is already 3/8 of an inch, in fact just under that. So I won't be able to machine this part of the casting. I'll have to leave it as it is and clean it up with a file. The other set of castings are slightly bigger. And here's a comparison with the bearings in place on the pedestal and on the bed. For this job though, I'm going to use the castings that were supplied recently, not the old ones. And here, using my 1-inch belt sander fitted with a brand new belt, I'm fettling the castings. I'm cleaning off all the excess moulding. There are many other ways to machine components like this, but I'm going to use my 4-jaw chuck. And this is the 4-jaw chuck off my small Boxford lathe. But before I do anything, I have to get the castings ready to fit in the 4-jaw chuck. And in this clip I'm cleaning up the unmachinable part. In no time at all I have a pair of gunmetal main bearings that are starting to look like main bearings. There are two probable disaster scenarios. One is the castings may have blowholes, which my first set did and Stuart replaced them, or you may just make a thorough mess of it. And I've messed up a few in my time. If either of these scenarios develop, don't worry, discard the castings, contact Stuart Models and buy another set. Do not, under any circumstances, machine them from any pieces of brass laying about in your workshop. The wear properties of brass and gunmetal are very different. Now the castings are nice and clean, it's time to machine them to make them dimensionally accurate. In the case of this piece of gunmetal, it's not a massive issue. I'm taking extremely light cuts. I also forgot to mention, it's a very good idea when machining gunmetal to use a new and sharp end mill, as a blunt end mill will just skate across the surface and give a very bad finish. Once I'd finished machining the top surface of the bearings, I turned them upside down. I'm only showing one, it's pointless duplicating all the content. To hold these components at the correct height in the machine vise, I'm using a piece of square steel. As you can see, it's got drill holes in it and all sorts of things. I use this a lot. What you should really use is something called a parallel. This is a square piece of bar that is accurately machined and ground. But I haven't got any of those, so I just use a piece of square mild steel, which, according to my micrometer, is more or less parallel. In this clip I'm machining one of the top caps, and here's the completed job. This stuff is marking out blue, and a bottle of it was sent to me by a viewer, and thanks for that, I really do appreciate it. It comes complete with a little brush, and it's very easy to apply, and it dries incredibly quickly. And it smells very nice too. I'm trying really hard not to sniff this for recreational purposes. Health and safety warning. That was a joke, and it's not a good idea to sniff any kind of solvent. Solvent abuse can be very dangerous. In this clip I'm using a combination of the surface table, which is definitely flat, and I'm using this in conjunction with my height gauge to scribe a line which is exactly 7/8 of an inch from the bottom of the casting. When using a height gauge on smaller components, I find it better to hold the height gauge still and move the component. Sit back and relax, it's time for a bit more milling. By using an extra piece of packing, I've mounted the casting in the machine vise and I'm removing all of the metal above the scribe line. And this time, as I'm removing more metal, I'm using the cutter in the correct direction. And if you look carefully at what I'm doing, you'll see that I have both of the castings in the machine vise at the same time. This ensures that the dimensions are identical. Gunmetal is a very soft, malleable material, and the milling operation has caused a burr to be created on the edges of the pieces. These burrs must be removed before the parts can be put in the forge or chuck. That's just about it for this episode. The parts are prepared, and in the next episode I will be machining them. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.